History is not a record, it is an edit. For centuries, the world has navigated a map riddled with blank spaces, missing coordinates of the human story. Most civilizations were handed a light version of reality, a compressed file designed for easy control. But one ancient kingdom remained uncompromised. It is not a land of poverty, but a planetary backup server hidden in plain sight. Ethiopia didn't just preserve books. It guarded the raw, uncompressed source code of existence, data that DNA and physics are only now beginning to unlock. Myths are often dismissed as fairy tales, but the human genome is a library that cannot be burned. While historians argued for centuries over the validity of ancient chronicles, geneticists quietly discovered a truth that shifts the entire map of human history. This is where folklore dies and biology takes over. The story of the Queen of Sheba in King Solomon has long been mocked as a nationalist legend, a clever tale to justify a throne. But science just handed Ethiopia the ultimate receipt. Large-scale genomic studies of the Ethiopian highlands have revealed a massive admixture event, a collision of bloodlines, and the timing is not random. The data points to a specific window, exactly 3,000 years ago. This was not a gradual migration of nomadic tribes. It was a sudden, concentrated movement of people from the Levant, modern-day Israel and Syria, directly into the heart of Africa. The DNA doesn't just suggest a connection, it proves a physical merger. Inside the cells of these isolated mountain communities lies haplogroup J. This is a specific genetic signature, a marker belonging to the ancient priestly lineages of the Middle East. It is found in high concentrations among the people who have guarded Ethiopia's secrets for millennia. Finding this specific code in the Ethiopian highlands is like finding a locked vault in the middle of a desert. It shouldn't be there unless it was placed there with intent. This wasn't just a trade route, it was a relocation of a bloodline. 25% of the Ethiopian highland genome is non-African. It is Levantine. It is the physical evidence of the Solomonic dynasty. While the rest of the world looked at the King James Bible for answers, the answer was already pulsing through the veins of the people the West ignored. Ethiopia acted as a biological safe house. The high-altitude terrain provided more than just a military defense. It functioned like a genetic vault, a refuge where the original source code of a sacred lineage could remain unpolluted by the shifting empires of the North. This is the material bridge between Jerusalem and Axum. But a bloodline is only half the story. If the people moved, the protocols moved with them. If the DNA proves the family is real, then the instructions they carried must be equally authentic. The West was given a simplified story, a narrative designed for the masses. But the elite lineage in the mountains kept the raw files. And that leads to a terrifying realization. If the bloodline is a biological fact, then the forbidden knowledge they protected isn't just poetry, it is technical. It is the reason why their language sounds less like a way to talk and more like a way to control the very frequencies of reality. Wait until you hear how this ancient tongue actually functions as a firewall for the mind. Language is usually a tool for talking, but in the stone monasteries of Ethiopia, language is a tool for defense. The ancient tongue of Giaz is not meant for the marketplace. It is not for buying bread or negotiating treaties. It is a neural programming script, a highly specialized encryption key for the human nervous system. Most people assume the monks keep Giaz alive out of stubborn tradition. That is a dangerous misunderstanding. The reason is frequency. Research in cognitive linguistics and cybernetics suggests that the phonetic structure of Giaz is designed to bypass the analytical, logical mind entirely. It targets the dormant sectors of the brain, the limbic system, and the pineal gland. It is not a way to communicate ideas. It is a way to calibrate biological hardware. Modern languages like English or Latin are optimized for surface-level logic and commerce. They are user interface languages. They work well for the world of status and money. But Ge'ez operates in the kernel. It is the original machine code. When the monks chant in these stone cathedrals, they are not merely reciting verses. They are running a diagnostic. They are generating an acoustic firewall. This firewall is the only protection against what the ancient texts describe as parasites of consciousness. These are the deceptive forces that calcify the heart and turn a living human into a walking tomb. In the suppressed Nag Hammadi library, scholars found references to a language of light. This is not a poetic symbol. It is a technical description of specific sound frequencies that can restructure the water molecules within human cells. Ge'ez functions on this exact physical principle. Its specific vibrations are tuned to the human biorhythm. They create a state of neural immunity. Think of the human mind as a complex network. Most of the world is currently running on light software, unprotected, unencrypted, and wide open to external manipulation. Ge'ez is the proprietary security protocol that was never meant to be deleted. The Ethiopian monks are not just religious figures. They are the system's administrators for the human soul, guarding the last clean copies of the original script. And here is the terrifying part. If a language can protect the mind, then the removal of that language is an act of digital warfare. By isolating Ge'ez and burying the 15 forbidden books, the councils of the West didn't just simplify a religion. They disabled the human firewall. They left the population running on a vulnerable, simplified operating system that is easily hacked by fear, greed, and status. The specificity of these ancient sounds acts like a frequency shield. It prevents external winds of error from taking root in the subconscious. This is the secret Jesus taught during those 40 hidden days. How to use the breath and the tongue as a weapon of awareness. It is a technique for spiritual sovereignty. But to the architects of organized religion, an uncontrollable, self-aware mystic is a threat to the stability of the system. This is why the books had to go. Because once the firewall is down, the light version of reality is the only thing the mind can perceive. But wait until the true logic behind this Lite OS is revealed. The move from 81 books to 66 was not about theology. It was about data compression. It was a calculated strategy to ensure the masses would never have enough memory to run the full version of the truth. Most people view the Council of Nicaea as a theological debate. That is a mistake. It was a mass-scale data management operation. The Roman Empire was a network facing a total system crash. Information overload was the enemy of order. To stabilize a crumbling empire, Rome needed a Lite OS, a version of the truth that was easy to install, easy to run, and impossible to hack. This was the birth of the 66-book Bible. It was a calculated strategy of data compression. The original records contained 81 books, 15 more than what the West eventually accepted. These were not just extra stories. They were the X books like Enoch and Jubilees, contained the complex data on multidimensional reality, the mechanics of the Watchers, and the origins of unauthorized knowledge. This data was high resolution, and high resolution truth is uncontrollable. Rome needed a simplified path for the masses. The 66-book version is the user interface. It is designed for morality, obedience, and social stability. It is a stable, downgraded simulation of the original faith. By removing the 15 forbidden books, the councils didn't just edit a text. They disabled the root access to the human spirit. They ensured the user would remain a consumer of reality, never a creator of it. The removal of these books was an act of intellectual castration. It turned a powerful spiritual technology into a tool for social engineering. The 15 discarded books provide a direct link to the source code within the individual. They make religious hierarchies in political empires obsolete. If a person understands the hidden structures of reality described in the Mashafakun, They no longer need to bow to a Caesar or pay taxes to a stone temple. They become uncontrollable. Ethiopia refused the update. They stayed on the original server. While Europe fell into a censored, low-resolution dark age, the Ethiopian monks were guarding the lossless version of the human story. They preserved the 81 books, the raw, uncompressed files of human potential. This is the difference between a low-quality thumbnail and the original high-definition master copy. Ethiopia acted as the planetary backup server, keeping the data safe until a time when humanity was ready to handle the full bandwidth of the truth. This realization is enraging. It means the world has been running on Lite software for nearly 2,000 years. It means the history taught in schools is a compressed, edited file designed to keep the population compliant. The West was given the safety rail version of the Bible, where humans are weak and dependent. But the full version in Ethiopia describes humans as powerful beings trapped in a cosmic war, equipped with the tools to break free. The Lite OS was designed to prevent people from seeing the executable files hidden in their own DNA. It was a move to ensure that the masses never had enough memory or processing power to run the full version of the truth. But data that is suppressed always finds a way to resurface. The lossless files are still here, and they are not just written on goatskin. They are anchored in the very bones of the earth. If the 81 books are the software, then the hard drive must be physical. It must be a structure capable of holding the frequency of the original code. And in the highlands of Ethiopia, that hard drive is not made of silicon. It is carved into solid volcanic rock. These aren't just churches, they are resonators designed to read the ancient script. Wait until the true physical purpose of Lalibela is revealed, because these stone cathedrals were never meant to be built. They were meant to be extracted. Most visitors stare at the rock, cut churches of Lalibela, and ask how they were built. Hand tools? Angels? Directed energy? These questions miss the target. Lalibela is not a construction project. It is a geological extraction. While the rest of the world stacks bricks to reach the heavens, Ethiopia carves directly into the Earth's motherboard. The goal was never to build a temple. The goal was to anchor a frequency. The 11 churches are not placed randomly across the landscape. They sit precisely on a massive intersection of ley lines, the natural electromagnetic grid of the planet. Geologists refer to these as telluric currents. These are literal rivers of energy flowing beneath the crust. By digging straight down into volcanic basalt, the architects didn't just create a place of worship, they installed a physical bridge to the planet's core energy. It is a stone-based transceiver. And here is the technical shock. The architecture is a negative sculpture. One mistake, one cracked pillar, and the entire circuit is ruined. You cannot glue rock back on. The Church of St. George is famous for its perfect cross shape, but in the world of physics, this is a resonant cavity. It is a hollowed-out chamber designed to capture and amplify specific acoustic frequencies. When the monks chant in Ge'ez, the ancient neural code, the volcanic rock acts as a natural resonator. It turns the human voice into infrasound. These are low-frequency waves that move through solid stone. These vibrations are tuned to stabilize the local geomagnetic field. It is spiritual hardware. Legends claim angels worked at night using tools of light that slice through volcanic rock like butter. In the context of modern science, this sounds remarkably like directed energy technology or acoustic levitation, the use of sound to manipulate the density of matter. Ancient history calls them angels. Modern physics calls it frequency manipulation. This explains why Lalibela survived every war, every invasion, and every empire. It is impossible to bomb a hole in the ground that is already in sync with the Earth's own pulse. It is a spiritual bunker, a fortress designed to preserve the frequency of the lossless version of humanity while the surface world burns in high, entropy chaos. The drainage systems are so advanced that after 800 years of torrential rain, the churches have never flooded. This is not the work of simple masons. This is the work of a computer like mind. The precision required to excavate these cathedrals without a single error suggests a level of planning that matches modern 3D modeling. It suggests a knowledge of matter that the West is only now beginning to rediscover. Lalibela is a massive, solid-state device. It is designed to read the ancient manuscripts and broadcast their message into the very foundations of the earth. If the 81 books are the software, these churches are the hard drive. But the stone holds one more secret. It isn't just about the rocks or the tunnels. It is about the biological cost of keeping this system running. Because the ultimate secret isn't in the walls. It's in the bodies of the men who guard the most dangerous artifact in human history. The Ark is not just a box of gold. It is a source of energy so intense that it requires a human sacrifice to remain contained. Wait until the medical reality of the Guardians is revealed, because the blessing of the Ark looks exactly like a modern disease. Beyond the stone walls of Axum, the mystery of the Ark has a human face, a face that is slowly fading. The world talks about ancient radiation, about a golden weapon that burns. But the medical reality of the Guardians is far more chilling. This is not a curse. It is a biological sacrifice, a total systemic collapse designed for security. The Guardian develops severe photophobia, a violent intolerance to light. Their skin loses all pigment, turning an unsettling, ghostly pale. They often die young. Science explains this as the total failure of vitamin D synthesis. Without UV exposure, the body's architecture literally crumbles from the inside out. Bone density vanishes. The immune system shuts down. This is the price of living for life in a stone vault. Then there is the blindness. Visitors describe eyes clouded by thick cataracts. This is the Tyndall effect in action. In the smoky, humid air of the stone chambers, light scatters into a permanent, milky haze. Over decades, the eyes stop seeing images and start seeing only fog. But this is a calculated trade. By accepting blindness, the Guardian enters a state of hyper-sensory awareness. They lose their sight to become part of the hardware. They trade their eyes for the ability to hear every frequency, every footstep, every vibration in the dark. They are the last layer of a living biosecurity system. They do not just guard the data, they sacrifice their biology to become the firewall. While the West seeks the Ark for power, Ethiopia protects it with a devotion that the modern mind can barely comprehend. This is the ultimate material bridge, a human being functioning as a biological seal for a source of energy that predates religion itself. But even a human firewall eventually fails, and that is why the ancient texts contain a built-in emergency trigger, a protocol for the day when the stone walls can no longer hold the truth. Over 2,000 years of silence are coming to an end. The seal is breaking, and the reason it's happening now has nothing to do with religion, and everything to do with the digital web currently surrounding the planet. The silence of 2,000 years is officially over. Ethiopia did not guard the 81 books of the original Bible for the sake of the past. It guarded them for the sake of the future. These mountain monasteries are not museums. They are planetary bunkers. They are storing the break glass manual for a very specific moment in human history. That moment is now. The ancient Ge'ez manuscripts describe an age of webs of illusion, a time when humanity speaks without mouths and sees without eyes. It is a world hyper-connected by technology, but completely severed from the source code. This is the prophecy of the digital age. This is the era of artificial intelligence and algorithmic control. According to the most radical readings of the Mashafakhan, these texts were designed to remain hidden until the Lite OS of organized religion could no longer handle the complexity of the global crisis. The release of these forbidden chapters is a built-in emergency trigger. It is the final fail safe for a species lost in a simulation of status and greed. The instruction from the hidden 40 days of Christ is not a suggestion. It is a tactical command. Do not build temples of stone. The stone will crumble. Build the temple of the heart, for it is eternal. This is the only space that cannot be censored, the only frequency that cannot be hijacked by the wind of error. While the West continues to push a downgraded version of reality where humans are weak and dependent, the Ethiopian files reveal the technical truth. Humanity is a powerful, multi-dimensional entity trapped in a biological war. The parasites of consciousness are not metaphors. They are the deceptive forces currently calcifying the human heart, turning living beings into walking tombs. These are people who breathe, post on social media, and consume, but whose spiritual awareness has already been deleted. The antidote is not found in a ritual or a tithe. It is found in gnosis, pure, uncompressed knowledge. The 81 books provide the neural script to reactivate the dormant sectors of the soul. They teach that the kingdom of heaven is a physical frequency located in the silence between thoughts. By reclaiming this knowledge, the individual becomes uncontrollable. They no longer bow to the bishop. They no longer pay taxes to the temple. They bypass the religious hierarchy and access the source code directly. The darkness is not coming. It is already here, and it does not look like a monster. It wears a familiar face. It looks like a savior. It looks like a solution. It deceives the world by appearing exactly like the thing it is trying to destroy. Survival in the coming age depends on one factor: the focus of the mind and the maintenance of the heart's frequency. Ethiopia has guarded the well for 3 millennia. The seal is broken. The water is available. The only question that remains is whether the human mind is brave enough to handle the raw files of the truth, or if the safety of the Lite OS is too comfortable to leave behind. Follow the search for what was never meant to be forgotten. Join the search. Stay aware.